Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to the Jehovah Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cal.
That's right. That's right. Back like I left something, man. It's your hostess with the mostest. Holding that fire like a roach clip. A Cosmon Cal, right back in from the Ethereum heavens. Cloud kicking all night. You dig what I'm saying? Touch back down on here, Ethereum. Just finishing up part 2 of the quote unquote happy holidays. You dig what I'm talking about? With that being said, let's just get the groove popping. You dig what I'm saying? Let's get the groove going. Shout out to the Yog, man. Peace to all the creative gang out there, all the faithists, man. All those people who stand up and do the right things when it ain't no benefit for them to do it. Let's go.
Yeah. Feel good right now. The atmospheric, green skies, the gang coming. I be in and out, so leave that thing running. Purified is preferred. Higher frequency, a higher bird. I observe on a different nerve. Breaking codes, I am the yoga. Deadly as a Ruger, straight and a shooter. Out the holster with this mudra, inoculation with the wisdom. Creator shape my prism and hit them with no schisms. Perfect. Reason turn the light up. Y'all disappointing like 9 to 5 and some write-ups. Something rearranged, let that boy cook. Organization 33, stay up in them books. Lead them boys shook. 46 divided, yeah, I'm Port Michael. It was only rifle that I came up in this cycle. They say they gangsters, but they telling it. Step outside, take off my shoes and let the sun hit my melon. Had to relearn that the herb beat the medicine. It's the same matrix, so who you think you better than? Perfect.
Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated. Know that. Know that. They not like us. Separate the real from the fake is a must. We stand on Creator and no God we trust. Team Kemet got crushed into powder and dust. Woo! Kemet looking bad now. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many men down? Look at us all running, ducking, trying to skip town. Now power one it in. You Hebrew, what you Kemet now? Siding with the people that enslaved your own people now? Chop you up into pieces and throw you in the river now. Veggie right beside you, get ate by Kemetic crocodile. Look, we got them running, covering square miles. Scared to death, what's left only to take the crown. Get smashed down on your own stomping ground. We took over like the Hicksers on your turf doing a disco. 2-stepping, no half-stepping with the info. You wouldn't even know the book of the dead, bro, if it wasn't pausing for the translation done by my sparrow. Your time's narrow, semi-missiles blow out your arch arrows. Arches down, so goes the pharaoh. I saw him reading the glyphs like he an expert, but where he learned that from? This about to hurt. First translation came from Samuel Birch. European Egyptology gave you it first. You couldn't translate a bird to a word without looking up them European definition verbs. Y'all niggas acting like y'all blackity black, fronting to the people, man, y'all niggas actually whack. Your pathetic comedic creation myth is a trap. The blind leading the blind with no actual facts. Jabario Sade, come to find out he followed Yahweh. That was your execution, you par Rosicrucian. Western thought you using, you are quite confusing. Don't know what you doing, how my eye got you moving. Right now you are losing, at your wake I'm viewing. R.I.P. communion, mummy wrapped in ruin. OISP is ruling, science has been proven. All motion moving, you live in an illusion. Who you think you fooling, think you need some schooling. It's like Reggie out here living in a ghost town, walking around like I see dead people around. I don't believe in spirits, but I believe them now. Stuttering Stanley, you can have a seat now.
Stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley, stuttering Stanley. Shut up, you freak!
Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. Freaky ass Kim and they got 69 gods. 69 gods, 69 gods. Creator gang is undefeated. Creator gang is undefeated. And it's gonna remain that way. And it's gonna remain that way.
Without any further ado, let's go and get back into the lesson, pick up right where we left off. Remember, we breaking down the faith this year and how to tell what time of the year is when and when does the year actually start. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. Hold on, I gotta get this dog together and I'll be right back. Okay, we right back at it, y'all. Now, let's get back into it. We breaking down the explanation of when the year starts, when it stops, how you tell. What we've come to learn so far is that when the sun is at its most southern, what they call an aphelion, right? When it's at its most southern point, it is at what we call the winter solstice and is the quote unquote using the sun the end of the year, using the solar calendar. But when it's at its most northern point, it's in the summer solstice, and that is when they say our year begins. Right? Now, how a WASP would know this in 1881 or understanding the equinoxes, solstices, and the analemma and how it works today, because the analemma doesn't stay the same because of the ecliptic nature of our rotation around the sun. It's not circle. It's longer at certain points and more ecliptic than it is round, right? And so what you find out is that when we're the closest to the sun, right? The analemma throws a bigger loop, right? And we are in the winter solstice. When we're closest to the sun in the northern atmosphere, we're in winter. Funny how it gets colder the more we move towards the sun. But when we're furthest away from the sun in the northern atmosphere, in the northern hemisphere, we are in the uh, the summer solstice and the beginning of the year for now. Right? How Owaspy knew this and why it didn't start it in uh, uh, spring, or which would seem logical, spring starting up, but if that would be incorrect if you actually use the thing that tracks it, which is the analemma, right? Basically, which is the movement of the sun throughout the year. And because we are in an ecliptic and not a circle, flat or otherwise, it throws in a almost figure eight shape, what is called an analemma. But during the analemma, you have equinoxes and solstices. The solstices are the starts and the end of the year, while the equinoxes are the equinoxes are the other two seasons and also like the midway points. So spring getting ready for summer, fall getting ready for winter. You dig what I'm talking about? Coming out of fall, going into spring, and all that. So everything has to line up in nature. And my question is, how does Owaspy even know any of this before science even knew this existed? Right? Cos, what you think about the Cybertruck blowing up on New Orleans, John? Yeah, I thought the Cybertruck was in Las Vegas though. You do what I'm talking about. Love light balance out there to you, brother. Yeah, we'll get on that kill switch. You dig what I'm talking about? I'll probably do something about that. Shout out to Yada, Hurricane up in this thing. Daughter of the Great Spirit up in here, gang up in this thing. You dig what I'm talking about? Jay Manson up in this thing. You dig what I'm talking about? Salute everybody, man. We up early in the morning cooking. They'll catch up. This time of the year marks when Jehovah integrates all together into one whole heaven and earth and sets the foundation for the coming year. For the end of the year, 170 AK, or 170 years after Cosma. For those who don't know how to tell time yet, that is the year 2018. Right? That is the year. For the end of the year 2018 and the beginning of the year of 2019, starting at 11:54 a.m. Eastern Time on 170 AK 365, aka June 20th, 2019, the earth and its heavens undergo a sweeping, hold on, let me get to this. A sweeping holy cleansing by the creator and his etheric currents. And this holy cleansing endures 24 hours till the June solstice time. So the 21st, right? The night of the 21st, the 24-hour period from June 20th at 11:54 a.m. to June 21st at 11:54 a.m. You dig what I'm talking about? This is using the sun, y'all. This is using the sun. So this is why we having daylight time. right? So this is how you tell time right here. Now, June 20th, 2019, or the Common Era, or the Cosmon Era, the earth and its heavens undergo a sweeping holy cleansing by the Creator in this Eid currents, and this holy cleansing endures 24 hours to the June solstice time and the beginning of the new year, which is June 21st, 2019 at 11:54 a.m. A 24-hour period. Light to light. You see what I'm saying? Light, daylight to daylight. Daylight on the 21st, on the 20th, to daylight on the 21st is the old year's day or New Year's Eve and the New Year's Day. You follow? It's one day, right? But seems on the solar calendar to take part in both days. You dig what I'm talking about? On the solar calendar that happened on the 21st, on the 20th and the 21st. Now, for all those who paying attention, June 21st is the summer solstice. He's saying this is a time of cleansing of the universe, and this is makes sense as into why you're supposed to forgive people who did stuff to you, and you forgive yourself for what you did to other people, and cleanse it all away and wipe it away. That makes sense if that's happening cosmically. That would make sense. This holy cleansing sweep follows the course of the setting sun around the earth, even as stated in Oahspe. Now, accordingly, as you observe, most holy Sabbath on that day of your last sunset before the solstice occurs, Creator in his heaven will be there blessing and being blessed with a most holy cleansing, and then continuing on the next day, which is the New Year's Day, and its celebratory nourishments. Now, calculating the most holy Sabbath and the New Year's Day. With regard to faith is reckoning as to when the old year's hold on, my bad, y'all. As to when the old year ends and the new year begins. This is what we talking about. Huh? A lot of y'all thought that new year was gonna begin in spring, huh? With the spring equinox. And it would make sense, right? But that can't be because the year starts when the sun is at its most northern point. Right now, because of the way our earth tilts and the ecliptic, it's moving across the ecliptic. The highest point or the beginning of the year is in the summer solstice. But I'm going to show y'all this don't always stay the same. It moves. It moves. So I'm just saying, this thing kind of works like a clock and it's cyclical, right? Once you understand that time is not linear, it is cyclical and measured in arcs, which are of themselves space and time, and its measurement is cyclical also. It starts to make a little sense when you apply that same science to the earth, right? Another quick way to prove that the earth ain't flat or it's not a circle is that the analemma at the equator would be equal and be a perfect line on the equator, like if we went to Honduras. But you don't see that. You don't see it at all, right? It's still an analemma. So the object is to find the solution. So wait a minute, let me go back and read it. With regard to the faithists, right, to the gang, those who follow the Great Spirit. Now, there are different types of faithists in the world. There's a faithist that's called an Israelite. There's a faithist that's called a Vedic. There's a faithist called the Hotian. You dig what I'm talking about? There's a faithist called an Algonquin. It's just about where in the world you are. But if you made all the world, well, then everything should work perfectly together, right? Not only does the universe does that objectively, but so does the planet, right? So if the new year must begin when the sun is at its most northern point, starting on its southern route, which starts the 21st. You dig what I'm talking about? You would go through summer, fall, and at its most southern point, December 21st, it would be the winter solstice, just like we had a few days ago on the 21st. That's when and then notice on those days, it's the longest day of the year and the shortest day of the year. Huh. The object is to find the solution, right? With regard to the faithists, reckoning as to when the old year ends and the new begins, the Owaspy verses can be confusing. The object is to find the solution that fits all the statements. For example, one must be able to explain what, even with the travel of the sun around the earth, means in relationship to the June solstice point. We just got down breaking that down. We're going to go into it more. Old Year Day and New Year Day and the setting of the sun on the most holy Sabbath day, which yields the most holy cleansing. And what holy cleansing has to do with the travel of the sun? Huh? Y'all ever wonder why the sun has an 11-year flare up every 11 years? Even the sun obeys to the will of the creator. All things. And they got their reasons and their seasons and their time. Right? And guess what? We in that 11-year cycle right now. Right? We in that 11th year of the Odic rate. Those are facts. From April 8th at the beginning of a lunar eclipse, right? Which we hadn't had, by the way, for 7 years. So that means the last one was in 2017, right? Before the one in 2024 on April 8th. Where was y'all August 21st, 2017? I'm gonna blow y'all wig back. August, first of all, it was the last lunar eclipse, but what it did was signal in the sky cosmically that we went into the age of Aquarius. A lot of people was big talking a couple, like just last year. Oh, we going into the age of Aquarius, we end time theory and all that. And I got up here on the 6th or the 7th of April, and I guaranteed wasn't nothing gonna happen. I told you that people was going to be getting exposed this year. Why? Because the level of the light is rising. Why? Because it falls right in line with the 11-year odic rate of the sun. So from March to March, right? Or from April to April, however you want to look at it, right? Is the beginning of that high rising light for the next 11 years, right? And this is why you've been seeing everything get exposed this year. Everything. Huh? Now, the following two verses are pertinent to determining which day is the most holy Sabbath and which day is New Year's Day. I'm just going to take the spookiness out of it, or what could be misconstrued is it's the same day. It's remember, a day is 24 hours, right? It's the same day. While one is ending, the other one is beginning. But that happened at night. So the most holy day is gonna be the night of the 20th, and the most New Year's Day is gonna be the next day, the 21st. Huh? 20th, 21st, they the same. For 24 hours, it's the same period. The most holy day, the most holy Sabbath, and it's gonna fall on a Sabbath, right? To prove that it's a Sabbath, what do you have to have though? You gotta have a moon, right? So we know we still, even using the sun count, we're still running by the moon, right? To find the Sabbath, you must have the moon. So we can guarantee that on the most holy Sabbath day and on New Year's Day, 20th, 21st, going 2020, June 20th, 21st, we're going to have a Sabbath day. How do you know, Cosmon? How can you prove it to yourself? You will be on one of the quarters of the moon. What are the quarters of the moon? The new moon, the full moon, the waxing, and the waning gibbous. Right? I haven't looked down that far into the chart, but I guarantee, that the 21st fall on one of the four changes of the moon. I'm just guaranteeing it. So now look, this is why we say this. This is why we say the the beginning of the year starts with the highest point of the sun in the north. Now, in the north, that happens in June at the summer solstice, the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. Watch this. The northern line of the sun shall be the end of the year, right? So the end of the year and the beginning of the year, right? The end of the year, the northern line, this is June 20th, right? The northern line, look where we at. I'm not mistaken. The northern line of the sun shall be the end of the year and shall be called the last day of the old year. Think like a circle. It has to start somewhere. And in a year, which is our planet circling the sun in its orbit, right? its starting day is its stopping day. June 21st, summer solstice, right? And shall be called the last day of the old year, right? And the first day after that, the 21st, when the sun starts, starts on its southern course, right? Let me show you what I'm talking about so I don't lose nobody. This is called an analema, right? When the sun is closer to the earth, it takes the biggest loop, right? It's less dense down here, so it takes a bigger turn. But when it's at it, this is called aphelion, or the most southern point. This usually happens around January 1st. This lowest point. This highest point happens around June 1st to June 21st, somewhere in there. The highest point. But the next day starts it on its southern course. Boom, 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 winter. Boom, 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 summer. So if roughly every 3 of these is a month and is a season, then you should have, let's say this is summer, you would have your fall, you would go 1, 2, 3, and your fall will start right about here. This would be your what? Let me see. It'll go what? Let me see. One. This will be June, July, August, September. Wait a minute. It'll be June, July, August, or June, July, August, September. That's where it'll be. 1, 2, 3. All right. And then coming up from here, look, you will have your going back on your northern line, going from your southernmost point, you would have winter starting right about here. So you have 1, 2, 3 months, and you would have your spring equinox down here, right here. So winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, and that's how the sun would look in the sky. So you wouldn't even never need a calendar to know at least what time of the year you were in. And by where it is in the sky, you would be able to tell when rutting seasons is, when to plant your plants, you dig what I'm talking about, when to harvest, when to do everything, right? Without a calendar, no need for a calendar whatsoever. This is literally the calendar. So let's get back to it. So when it starts on its southern course, shall be the beginning of the year. So the beginning of the year, this is the trick. It's not a trick. It's just how the system works. The beginning of the year is backed up to the beginning of the new year. The end of the year is backed up to the beginning of the next year. But if the year begins in summer, well, then it don't end to the next summer. This is why the odic rate is so important with the sun, because it's going to be blazing this summer, just like it was last summer, one of the hottest summers on record. Blazing, and the light is just going to keep getting higher. Right? So the beginning of the year and the end of the year are at the same time, and just so happens they both fall on the longest day of the year. Coinky dink. I think not. Now, notice it does not say the sun is underway on its southern course, but starts on his southern course. Those two verses together might not seem to make sense if we are thinking in terms of solstice point as we know it. Read out of a publication or online from the calculations of astronomers, read out of a publication or online from calculations of astronomers. But what if you lack access? Might you not drive a stake in the ground, marking the northern and southern lines of the sun on the eastern horizon? Wouldn't that be more scientific than even listening to a scientist? To go stick a stake in the ground while the sun is at its highest on the eastern horizon? When it get back to it again, you done went through a whole year. Exactly opposite, you'll be in the what? The winter solstice. On the other two sides, you're going to have the equinoxes, equidistant from each other too. Might you not drive a stake in the ground, marking the northern and southern lines of the sun on the eastern horizon? And when the northern line of the sun is reached, then the old year's day. Then that is the old year's day. And what happens the next day? Right? Well, we know from Thothma, right, the builder of the Great Pyramids and others, up to our times, that the sun seems to do what? Stand still at its northern and southern points. Don't the sun stay still for 3 days? From the 21st to the 24th, and then rise 1 degree on the 25th? That's the story of the summer, the winter solstice, but it's also the story of Jesus. Jesus is an allegorical story for the winter solstice. This is why he's born on the 25th. This is why he goes into hell for 3 days. This is why he's on the cross, because that's when the Southern Cross becomes dominant in the sky in the south. Once you understand what's really going on with the story, they can't trick you no more. Then you know well enough to start leaning on the Creator. You dig what I'm talking about? We know for a fact that the sun seems to stand still, not only on the winter solstice, but in the summer solstice. For roughly 3 days, correct? For which reason, on the second day, when the sun seems to be standing still at its northern point in June, man knows from experience that the sun is starting on its northern course. 1 second. What that means is that the solstice points stands between those 2 days when the sun seems to stand still at the solstice point. Thus, when the sun reaches the northern line, then that marks the most holy Sabbath, the 20th of June. The next day, the 21st, right? That remember that meeting between them is the night. That night, Sabbaths are at night. They're moon days or nights. The next day, when the sun starts on the southern course, marks the New Year's Day. So the 21st of June hit a little different. And it make it listen, is that because if the moon sits still, I mean the sun sits still for 3 days like it do, and will that mean on the 18th, 19th, 20th, is that why they say they use June 19th or Juneteenth and try to apply it to a freedom day? Because really they understand that this is the new year. They've been using and siphoning our energy, trying to play into some freed slave narrative. Is it a psyop? Knowing what we know now, there's no way they just chose June 19th out of all these days. In the middle of in the second day when Jesus is supposed to be in hell, huh? Getting the keys back from Shaitan. Hmm. Say it again. And this is the important part. When stakes, this is real science. You can do this yourself. When stakes are pounded in the ground, marking the northern line of the sun, then the sun shall reach the northern line on the day before. The 19th, the actual solstice point. And on that next day, even though the sun seems to stand still on its northern point, the longest day of the year, y'all, it is actually starting to move south. Thus, Old Year's Day and New Year's Day are joined together side by side, even as stated in OWASP. And those 2 days are more or less centered around the what? I ain't make none of this up. The June solstice point. Looked at from the perspective both OWASP's verses now make complete sense. The advantages of this stake method are at least fourfold. First, the method requires no mathematics and virtually no astronomical understanding, but only observational skill. And second, this stake method can be done at all locations around the earth. Third, as virtually anyone can do this, so a person, fraternity, or community need not be dependent upon communication from some distant authority. And fourth, it is easier. Well, my thing is great. And fourth, it is easier to explain and simpler to comprehend than the alternative mathematical approach. Probably for those reasons, the WASPy authors presented the information using this approach. But there are also 3 big downsides. See, this is what I like about OWASP. It's dope. Cause it don't give you dig what I'm talking about, just the good side of the game when you got 30 birds and you out here killing the game, you dig what I'm talking about. No. It give you that part when you got caught and your homeboy snitched on you, and your girl ran away with your money, and you see what I'm saying? It give you that part of the game too. But there are also three big downsides. First, when the sun is near the solstice point, it is difficult to discern when the northern line is reached because the distance the sun moves daily is extremely minimal on the horizon at sunrise or sunset, or as a shadow cast at high noon. Second, one might not be able to detect exactly whether or not the northern point has been reached because compared to other years, each year's high noon point or horizon points differs in its distance or time interval to the solstice point. We'll get back into that. This means that at the time of sunrise, listen, this means that at the time of sunrise or high noon or sunset, the sun might never reach the very edge of the previous year's line, or it might go slightly past it. Third, because the time of the solstice will only be approximate somewhere between the two stand somewhere between the two standstill days. This is a very coarse-grained way to determine the old year's day and New Year's Day. And some century and a half into Cosmon finds virtually no one driving stakes into the solstice point. There is no need to, because astronomers of today can be more precise in their calculations. We find they are still late by a couple of minutes, so we can more carefully determine when that solstice point is. Presumably, the Owaspy authors wrote the way they did concerning Most Holy Sabbath and New Year's Day, first, for the advantages previously mentioned, and second, because they knew man would come to figure out exactly what was going on with regard to the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. Man would figure it out because of the clues the Owaspy authors left in plain sight. Think about it. In a very few short verses, the Owaspy authors managed to convey enough open gates for man to piece together the S, or the spirit, of the matter. These days, over a century and a half after Cosmon began, over a century and a half after Cosmon began, we now fairly precisely when each yearly June solstice point is. We now know fairly precisely, okay, when each yearly June solstice point is, and even when it has been. We're gonna prove that within the limits of the mathematical model used, and most people in the world have ready access to that information via the internet. And since we are all in Cosmon times, or these times of light, the information era, where the world is virtually as a unit already in many things, we need to find some clearer way to determine exactly when the old day is for everyone around the world, so that we can be in concert, which in turn will bring us to the question of what does being in concert mean. Already we know that at a minimum, it means everyone can be in synchronization with heavens as to times and seasons and all things. Getting back in touch with nature. Makes sense. We know that to attain to that awareness, now mind you, y'all, this is a man speaking right here, explaining what he want to. What sticks to you and speaks to your spirit, use that. What don't, spit it away. If this ain't for you to understand yet, and this is too much for you, come back to it. Right? But you're going to think on it, right? Because science don't even got a better system. And we're gonna show you they use this system. The question is, how could a white dentist from Ohio, a dentist from Ohio, know this information? I'm tending to believe him now that he didn't. Ain't no way. Ain't nobody even know what an analema. What? Listen, nobody knew that. Nor did we have the type of technology that could track it so precisely. Come on, man. We know that to attain to that awareness and timing requires goodness of heart, cleanliness, purity, clarity, wholesomeness, virtue, etc. In short, an advancement through the faith is discipline. The observance of the most holy Sabbath day signifies a willingness or desire for that concert, or on a higher level, a strengthening of that concert. But its effects depends upon man's developed talent to perceive the significance of what comes at the end of the year and the beginning of the new one. Hawaspi provides a key by setting forth the importance of sunset on the most holy Sabbath day. Didn't I tell you? An oscillation as a global measurement. Listen, since we are now wise enough to know nearly precisely when the June solstice point is, we should also be wise enough to perceive that it is the earth as a globe that is oscillating in its yearly course, revealed by the sun oscillating from north to south line and back again. Man typically interprets that oscillation as the sun's apparent motion through the zodiac belt or the ecliptic, right? The so-called celestial or the zodiac, the so-called celestial perspective. But in reality, this apparent drift of the sun depicts the Earth's yearly motion with regard to the chief vortex or the spin of the sun and its focal point, which is the sun, right? A chief vortex refers to a carrying vortex or a chief vortex. A C vortex is a chief vortex. Where am I at? It refers to a chief vortex, here being the great serpent that carries the sun and its satellites, the planets, the moons, such as the earth, and which has its focal point, which has as its focal point the sun, right? This is what we call our solar system. But this yearly oscillation is only one motion of the earth, for it also has a daily motion. In a daily cycle, the sun seems to zip through the Ankh or the zodiac belt. That is, looked at with the eyes only. If at sunrise the sun is at the beginning of the constellation of Aries, at the March equinox point, for example, then during the day, the sun arcs or courses through the sky in a path of the zodiacal belt, only to set and rise again, and lo, it is back again in Aries at essentially the point where it started. Let me read that again. If at sunrise the sun is in the beginning of the constellation of Aries at the March equinox, for example, then during the day the sun courses through the car. Then during the day, the sun courses through the sky in the path of the zodiac belt. That's correct. It does. It arcs through the zodiac belt. It does do that. Dang, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. I knew that, but I didn't realize that's why it did it. Oh. Only to set and rise again. And lo, it is back again in Aries at essentially the same point where it started. Facts. Apparently, the sun has traversed the Ankh in one day. With more precise measurement, when the sun makes its daily circuit around the Ankh, around the ecliptic, or the belt of the stars, right? Seen towards our equator, you dig what I'm talking about? Is its return to sunrise. Well, when the sun makes its daily circuit around the Ankh, the zodiac belt, it returns to sunrise. We'll find in actuality that it progressed forward in the Ankh about 1 degree of arc into Aries. And a year worth of these daily circle 1 degrees these daily circle 1 degree advancements will take the sun through each of the 12 constellations of the Ankh or the zodiac and bring it back around to the March equinox point again. That is to essentially where it started at 0 degrees in Aries. Now, dig this. There are 365 days in a year and 360 degrees in a Ankh and in a circle. So that the actual advancement of the sun through the Ankh is slightly less than 1 degree per year. For which reason it will be seen that the sun's apparent daily zodiac motion once around the Ankh, right, has a connection with its apparent yearly Ankh oscillation once around the zodiac belt. Accordingly, even as the sun undergoes a noticeable 1 year oscillation upon the earth, so the sun undergoes notable oscillation or rises to the high. Whoa. Hold on. Okay. Arises to high noon, then falls through one global day of 24 hours. Thus, the June solstice is the equivalent to high dan or high noon of the yearly day, i.e., comparing a year to a day. So that thinking globally, a person's most holy Sabbath day is connected with the movement of the globe, both in terms of the yearly oscillation and in terms of the 24-hour day. That is, the oscillation or the back and forth, up and down movement is experienced in terms of days. For which reason, there are usually 365 days in a solar oscillation, right? Takes 365 days to go through the zodiac belt. And so the last day of the oscillation is the most holy Sabbath day, a 24-hour phenomenon. Now, this means that In order to experience the fullness of the last global day of the oscillation or the year, a person must experience it in a global fashion and from a global perspective, even while experiencing it locally. Let me read this again. This is how you getting back in touch. This means that in order to experience the fullness of the last global day of the oscillation or the year, a person must experience it in a global fashion and from a global perspective, even while experiencing it locally, which means it takes 24 hours to experience that final global day of oscillation. Okay? The most holy Sabbath. Through all its daily times and seasons of sunrise, dawn, early morning, mid morning, late morning, high noon, early afternoon, mid afternoon, late afternoon, sunset, dusk, evening, late night, midnight, deep night, pitch, tar dark night, and pre-dawn twilight. Thus, there are 4 times in a day: sunrise, high noon, sunset, and midnight, and 12 seasons in a day. Listen, there are 4 times in a day: sunrise, high noon, sunset, and midnight. Hit me with a 1 in the chat if y'all getting that there's 4 times in a day. If y'all got that, hit me with a 1 in the chat. You dig what I'm talking about? Now, and 12 seasons in a day, just as there are 4 stations. The ascendant, east, zenith, south, descendant, west, and nadir, north. And 12 seasons or houses or signs in the zodiac. The Ankh, the zodiac, is the belt. Listen, is the belt that the sun appears to traverse in course of its yearly oscillation. And in terms of its seeming daily rotation. Indeed, in the Middle Ages, man in Europe marked the divisions of the day by its 12 astrological signs. Of all those daily times and seasons, with regard to most holy Sabbath day, we are told through Owaspi that the sunset is especially important time. Why? Because it begins the actual Sabbath. Because remember, Sabbaths are proved by the moon. The moon is out at night. This is why sunset becomes important at that time, because in that switch from the the end of the most holy Sabbath day to the actual Sabbath to the actual New Year's Day is a Sabbath. And this work all over the world, man. It don't matter what globe you put it on. You just use the year number and the day of the year, and it'll fall on every calendar perfectly. Don't matter what language, what part of the world you in, when your New Year is, none of it matters. The sun is the same for everybody. The moon is the same for everybody. And you can tell time using it. Man, every God told you you could tell time using it. As a matter of fact, even in the Bible, he said he gave you the moon to calculate moon days, like weeks and months, so you could figure out your holy days. And they ain't every Saturday. It ain't every Friday. How could your Sabbath stay still when everything in all creation is moving accordingly, right? Of those daily times and seasons, with most regard to the holy Sabbath day, we are told through the Owaspi that the sunset is an especially important time. Accordingly, with a globe as its object, the most holy Sabbath day must start globally precisely 24 hours before the solstice point, so that as the Earth globe spins, a sunset can occur everywhere on the globe. That's dope. Just one last time before the solstice point. And that is so a most holy cleansing can occur everywhere on the earth before the June solstice point. Now I'm not gonna get into this holy cleansing day. I want to get into this analema, right? And this is from Astronomical News. I'm gonna just drop down and get into where I want to talk about. Now, I want y'all to notice, see, in the northern hemisphere, this is in London. Look, right? In the northern hemisphere, when the sun is at its highest point, we are in June. It's the summer. Look, the North Pole, right? Summer is always at the small loop. But when you're in the South Pole, look, it's flipped. This can't happen on a flat circle. First of all, if this was it, if we were on a flat two-dimensional circle, this analema would be a straight line, especially at the equator, but you don't see it. And if it was a perfect circle, this would be perfect, right? Proving that the earth ain't circle at all. Even the globe is not circle. Well, it can't be. It's got a big old gouge taken out of it called the Pacific. All right. I think I'm going to show right here. All right. This is what I want to show. Why is the analemma? Hold on. Let me show. Make sure y'all can see that. Shout out everybody in the chat. My brother Daryl Cosmon, man. How my little niece doing? Boy. King Judah, love, light, fam. Just me up in here, man. Y'all sub, like, share, man. Make sure y'all sub to the channel, man. Share it out. You dig what I'm talking about? Love and light, man. Let's get into. Let me see. Oh, that could be blowed up a little bit. Let me blow that up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Why is the analemma a figure eight? Right? The analemma appears as a slightly elongated figure eight. Why? Because the Earth's axial tilt and the elliptical orbit. Elliptical. It's not circle at all. It's not a ball. even though it's globular. It's not perfect, right? Even its orbit is not a circle, it's elliptical. Here's how it works, right? The basic figure eight shape of the analemma comes mainly from the tilt of the Earth's axis. Due to the tilt from the sun's perspective, the Earth appears to wobble. Huh? We're talking about this oscillation, right? This back and forth, but even while it's spinning, it's got a wobble. And because of this wobble, as seen from a fixed position on Earth, the sun appears to make the figure eight pattern in the sky. That's why. Without the axial tilt, listen, the analemma would be oval shaped. At the equator, it would what? Be a straight line from east to west. This kills any flat earth idea. I'm sorry, I ain't here to start that. But we got to get out of belief. You dig what I'm talking about? All you got to do, if you don't like what Cosmon's saying, bring up your source and debunk it. We'll be here waiting forever on that. So let's just keep teaching, right? Get out of belief. Let's get into knowing. The asymmetry of the analemma is due to the Earth's elongated orbit. If the Earth's orbit was circular, flat Earth, the top and bottom loops of the analemma would be identical. But they're not. Look, they're not. One is larger than the other. All right? At different times of the year, the Earth moves closer and further away from the sun, near the closest point to the sun, or perihelion, like I was telling y'all. Perihelion, right here in the north, this is where we at, right here, in the sky. Remember, on the 21st, back around here, it hovered in the sky for a minute and then rose up 1 degree. That happened on the 25th. On Criminal. Well, we right here on the 1st. Next day, right here, 2nd. At different times of the year, and look. So, if we in winter in the north, in Melbourne, Australia, see where it's high in the northern, in the south. This is in Melbourne, Australia, from the southern view. That the perihelion is in June when our summer is. It's opposite. This can only happen on a ball, on a globe. Sorry. This is why when you in New York, you can see the Northern Star, but when you in Melbourne, you can't see the Northern Star. Huh? This is why when you in Melbourne, you can see the Southern Cross, but when you in New York, you can't see the Southern Cross. Right? And if it was circular, this would be a straight line. Pew, pew, pew. But it ain't. This on the border. On the equator. That's Honduras. Ecuador. Now, the Earth rotates on its axis in about 23 hours, 56 minutes. This is called a sidereal day. But it takes about 4 more minutes for the sun to return to the same point in the sky or local meridian. This is called a solar day. If you were to set up a sundial and start a stopwatch at noon one day and stop it at noon the next day, it would measure a solar day. Crazy. Didn't we just get through reading Owaspy to tell you to do the same thing? Science turn around telling you to do it too as an easy way to prove it. Mm. On 2 consecutive days, our planet must rotate a little extra on its axis for the sun to return to the same place. During a single sidereal day, the Earth rotates 360 degrees, and to complete the solar day, it must rotate 1 degree more for a total of 361 degrees. And as the Earth's speed of orbit changes, so does the extra angle. The Earth must rotate to bring the sun back across the meridian. Near the perihelion, or the bottom, winter, right here. Right, hold on, let me bring it up a little bit. Right, when you closest to the sun in the north, right? When you closest to the sun in the north, watch this. During perihelion, right? This is what the analemma look like on a 2-dimensional flat laid out plane. It's not in real life. It looked like that figure 8 because the sun is doing this. Dig what I'm saying? Oscillating. Near the perihelion, the Earth speeds up and has to rotate a little more. Therefore, the sun takes longer to move from one solar noon to the next. When our clock says it's noon, the sun has not yet reached the local meridian. The opposite happens near the aphelion, where when the Earth is moving more slowly in its orbit. But if it's moving slowly in its orbit and it's farther away from the sun, how is this summertime? And this is winter. Closer to the sun, but I'm colder. How is that possible if the sun is not stealing heat? Huh? I'm gonna get into a sun is just a black hole, right? A black hole that has gained enough sufficient mass to cut its atmosphere on. So just like it's crushing the spinning of the atmosphere, or what we would call a solar system, right? The spinning of the solar system around the sun is pushing the material towards the sun. Heat, radiation, or the electromagnetism, whatever. You dig what I'm talking about? It's eating everything, and it's crapping out radiation, right? Those irradiated particles hit our atmosphere, and on the day side of the planet, it produces what we call light. That's produced in our atmosphere. Mhm. And because of the more direct angle and the our atmosphere acts like a magnifying glass, right? A concave on one part, convex on the other, right? So even because of the tilt, even though we closer, we get less direct sunlight. But over here, when we farther away, we tilt it towards this mug because of that tilt, right? In the north, we get direct sunlight, hence summer. Even though we further, because our atmosphere is exciting the radiation that comes from the sun. Look, this is black. Ain't no light coming to this. Space is black. Even photons don't carry heat. So what is it? And photon carry light, but the space in between the sun and the earth don't got none of this. Ain't no light there. This is a focus, but there's no light. This all space is dark. and it's cold. But if the sun is supposed to be heating the earth, this area should be blazing hot. But it's not. It's some of the deepest, darkest cold in the world. And how is it getting colder as I move towards the sun? And just like our Earth has a average temperature of our atmosphere is negative 274. There's parts of it that get up to 3,000, but they are towards the extremities. How? How is it cold out here, way out here, hot in the middle, cold towards the earth, and the earth is warm? Same way that the solar atmosphere, right, called the corona, right, has hot parts and cold parts. It's almost 500 degrees below zero. But then they get times where, because they got not James Webb, not also James Webb, it's another telescope. It got launched in 2018 that went within 8 million miles, or the corona, way out here. Because I'm telling you, we never seen the sun yet. We just seen what this shit is made of. I'm thinking, creators say, I made everything the same. It just depends on what it's reacting on is what it is. I think there's a rock core body in the center of what we think is a hot burning ball of flame. I don't think it is. I think it's light. And it's a transfer of radiation. You dig what I'm saying? Going from photon to a thermal radiation type fusion. You dig what I'm talking about? That lets off heat. It does produce a heat. I'm not saying it don't produce heat, but not to the extent that it could extend 93 million miles away and give something to the earth. Right? That'd be like lighting a fire in your backyard and expecting it to heat you in your living room. Not gonna happen. All right. Let's get a little bit into this. It's also important whether the Earth's perihelion coincides with the Earth's solstice or equinox. When the Earth's perihelion coincides with the solstice, as it did 750 years ago, the analemma had a north-south axis of symmetry. Today, the Earth reaches perihelion about 12 days after the winter solstice. So the analemma is slightly tilted. Now, what did the analemmas look like in the past? Because I told you they changed. So, anciently, at different parts of the year, you dig what I'm talking about? Look, this would have been fall. You dig what I'm saying? The fall equinox. And it would have started the year. What would have been down here? Spring. You dig what I'm talking about? So, depending on how the movement of the earth, you dig what I'm saying? It's showing that its tilt has changed too. You dig what I'm saying? But look, what did the analemma look like in the past? As we have already mentioned, the appearance of the analemma from the earth depends on the latitude and the time of the day. But they also look different in the past and will look different in the future. Let's take a quick look at what exactly has changed over time due to the slow procession of the Earth's axis and other factors, the equinoxes in the Earth's perihelion point gradually shift along the ecliptic. How many times have I said this? Now they're slowly approaching each other. In 1246, right, perihelion occurred at the date of December solstice. And 6,489, it will occur at the March equinox. In 11,732 at the June solstice, and in 16,974 at the September equinox. The loops of the analemma curves are different in all cases. Look, in 1246, we didn't already had that. Ours look more like this, except it's smaller up here. Over the long term, both eccentricity and longitude of the perihelion undergo significant changes. For example, about 100,000 years ago, the Earth's orbit was much more elliptical than it is today, with an eccentricity of approximately 0.0473, about 98,500 BC. Perihelion coincided with the September equinox, causing the analemmas to tilt slightly. About 93,000 perihelion started with the December solstice. Because of this, the greater eccentricity and the analemma looked like a drop. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't know that. But now we know. Now we know. You dig what I'm talking about? You can't say you ain't been told. And look, dig this. I thought this was interesting. It says now analemma, as seen from Mercury, is very simple. With a small axial tilt, less than 1 degree, it is analemma. Its analemma is just a dot. The analemma of Venus and Jupiter have elliptical shape. Saturn, think teardrop with a small loop. Neptune and Uranus, they showcase a figure 8 pattern as well. Hold on, let me look at this. Mm. 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 Interesting. Bottom line, analemma might seem like just the sun's apparent path in the sky throughout the year, but actually we know this is how you trace and start and find the old year's day and the new year's day. I know y'all thought it. I know y'all thought I was gonna say the spring was the beginning of the year. Right? Remember, we looking at sun counts. If we got down to the moon, you'd be correct. Right? We break down the moon, and we will. You'd have been correct. But we going on the sun count.
Got some knowledge that you want to share?
Create a gang is crazy. Boy, y'all better pay attention.
fight as a single, impenetrable unit. That is the source of our strength. We fight as a single, impenetrable unit. That is the source of our strength.
Shoo! Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Unbet Het.
Shoo! Anetrak Amset.
Chrak Ast.
Nuke Ast. Shoo!
Nuke Amset. Chrak Ast.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Ast.
Shoo!
Anetrak Unbet Het.
Shoo!
Nuke Shoo!
All right, question for Ease. Would you kill your child, your son, if your God told you to?
You said if the Most High told me to?
Yeah.
Or if man, the Most High said do it, then that's what it is. Yeah, man, the Most High said do it, then that's what it is.
Yeah, man, the Most High said do it, then that's what it is.
A 22-year-old woman told hotel workers in Holmes County that she had been directed by God. To go on a shooting spree about the solar eclipse, and that not long after she left the hotel in a purple Dodge Challenger driving to the interstate, traveling west, shooting into two cars. One of the drivers was shot in the neck, the other grazed in his arm.
If your God came to you right now, tonight, in pomp and glory, shining, and he commanded the death of your child, would you sacrifice your child?
If the Most High is going to do it, of course. If the Most High is going to do it, of course.
If the Most High is going to do it, of course.
Peter Lucas Moses refers to himself as a radical religious person who is with the Black Hebrews. And he just pleaded guilty to killing a four-year-old and a woman that he was living with. He killed the 4-year-old because he thought he was gay.
Moses believed 4-year-old Higginbotham was homosexual. Klein says Moses took Higginbotham to the garage, played the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew, and shot him.
If God came to you and told you to sacrifice your kid, would you sacrifice your kid?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
God is called a terrible, demon-like power. God is called a terrible, demon-like power. God is called the terrible, demon-like power. So Napa means empty, you could say, or open. Shita means demon, or demon-like or terrible. Shita means demon, or demon-like or terrible. Shita means demon, or demon-like or terrible.
According to the criminal complaint, Polite told investigators God told him to shoot Pastor Germany. And he wanted to go to jail to clear his mind.
Would you kill your child or your grandchild if your God told you to?
Oh, man.
So that's a yes?
Yeah, it's a yes. But I think that it would be a test. I don't think the Lord would actually tell you to do it. I think it would just be a test because we can see.
You'd be willing to go through with it?
I'll go through any trial the Lord puts me through.
Leader Yahweh Ben Yahweh, the self-proclaimed Son of God, one day in 1981, her North Dade home became a house of death. Banks and her husband, Carlton Carey, had just returned from talking with police about another Yahweh member who had been decapitated. Today, Yahweh Ben Yahweh is charged in her attempted murder and the death of her husband. October 1986, Yahweh's takeover in an open-lock apartment building. Two residents who were ordered to leave publicly complained. That night, both were shot to death.
Wow! Judah, do you hear me? If the Most High Yahweh tells you to kill your family, would you do it? Yes or no?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, Judah, no, I'm saying.
Damn.
Judah didn't mean that, y'all.
If the Most High say, put your family down, would you do it for the Most High?
By faith, yes. By faith, yes.
By faith, yes.
But he's going to tell me not to do it, just like he did Abraham. We have a story like that already. Next.
The moral law is that if a child was to be rebellious, okay, towards their parents, they was to be taken out and be stoned to death because of that. You see what I'm saying?
Would you do that? Would you do that if your God came back to you today in glory and said, I want you to stone your son if he get rebellious? Would you? Would you do it?
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, I would.
Wow.
The Most High was to come to you and ask you to off your loved ones. Would you do it, brother?
If I had made the mistake, if I didn't have ancestors inside of me and I made the mistake to make babies with outside nations, and then I heard the download from my ancestors saying that you need to put them away, yes, I will put them away. Yes, I will put them away.
Yes, I will put them away.
Okay, Judah Nazareth, if the Most High come to you and say, I want you to put down your family, I have a better movement for you that I need you to do, would you do it?
They're out of here. They're out of here.
They're out of here.
Create a gang is crazy. Boy, y'all better pay attention.
3 of your ex-boyfriends died. Sure, a few of my exes are dead.
That's 6.
I think I have to warn them. I do too. Roll on some deodorant and we'll head.
We fight as a single, impenetrable unit.
Yeah. Create a gang. FOPE dis. For our people's ignorance. Salute Malachi Maccabee, Cosmon Cal, Bronze Yogi, Yare Ya. Create a gang. Peace to the goddesses. We gonna set the record straight. I know these clowns named folk, man, they a fucking joke. Naphtali tried to explain the Ark of Noah's boat. Malachi Maccabee exposed the whole shit as a hoax. She had the nerve to say the earth is 6,000 years old. And tried to use Gobekli Tepe for the Ark of Noah. But what you ought to know, your sources got burned like an arsenal. So pack it up and throw them scripts in the trash. Your God gets stoned to death for prophecies not coming to pass. Like America's supposed to get hit with the nuclear blast. 24 years later, we look back at you niggas and laugh. I should pick rocks and stone you niggas myself. Throw you in a lake of fire, watch your skin start to melt. Shaw Shan be the first to get blamed. When I heard the shots, look, left his people and ran. Damn. K. Judah, you fail to be a shooter. You not a teacher, you a tutor, hiding behind computers. Naphtali, you not ready for Mali. He exposed to go for wood from the Ark, come out of Cali. Long Beach, Naphtali better run a retreat. Your champion looking bad on these YouTube streets. When I wave the white flag as a sign of defeat. Bow down like Jehu and kiss the side of wartime. Create a gang is undefeated. I keep it real, pack to steal it for whoever want it. Clap, Judah be running laps when he get confronted. Got Devil Cosmon and knock you off of 500. They hit the club, roll up a Judah dub forever blunted. Contemplating on who we gonna horsemen who understand the business. Contract killers won't hesitate to watch the door behind. Create a gang is undefeated. Salute. Create a gang is undefeated. I keep it real, pack to steal it for whoever want it. Clap, Judah be running laps when he get confronted. Got Devil Cosmon and knock you off of 500. They hit the club, roll up a Judah dub forever be the best. The 4 horsemen who understand the business. Contract killers won't hesitate to kill a witness. 21 bodies executed on my hit list. JJ trying to watch me, trying to take pictures. Yara working with woods and paint a bunch of snitches. Peer pressure separate the real from the bitches. Niggas be gang until you start to bang. Let a nigga brains hang on everybody like dang. You thought it couldn't happen. Yara wanted smoke, 9/11 Manhattan. bullets in his breastplate, both lungs collapsing. Hands reaching in the air for the air he grasping. The flyer was made, Sila Shalom, first captain. But the captain ran away, just like if nothing happened. I'm a certified killer. Peel a nigga, cut him open and feed him his own liver. Graphic is how I paint the picture. Shoot shots like a pitcher. Split JJ like a swisher. Cut the head off for the lion's den and watch the rest of the body quiver. Core shots I deliver when it's crunch time on the trigger. Got 2 pair of eagles fly like seagulls when it's time. I scoot out, shoot out, air out, yara every time. Standing behind enemy lines, killing my enemies every time. Defend the faith like Muslim Sunni soldiers at a shrine. I facilitate thoughts beyond the thoughts of mankind. Create a gang is in the prime while you niggas get left behind. Creative gang is undefeated. Salute, Daryl Cosma, Cosma Cal, Malachi Maccabee, and the whole Creative gang. Nigga, we outside with it. All that huffing and puffing don't mean nothing. You step in the dojo.
Yeah.
Put the record on.
Creator gang coming. Turning up the light and watch some boys start running. Let me tell you something, we ain't out here doing nothing. I can tell you scared, boy, niggas stop fronting. It was all in the plan, comprehension, understand. Breaking boys off like Creator did the plan. Cooler than the band, who you fooling, man? We be tearing shit up like red tape and some bands. Conscious community, yeah, we in demand. They hunger for the truth, debate or the booth. Sourcing up with the proof, AU on the tooth. Catch me in the candy painted octagon coupe. Step in my boots while I'm knocking mines loose. You be the cobra, I be the mongoose. Plant base in my suit, meditate on my fruit. Red Star training, who let the gods loose? I was born to got a storm. Hey. Forms a lot of swords, decapitate like they got a war. The bloody gore is the reward, but you running for the spook who sat by the door. I was born to got a storm. Hey. I was born to got a storm. Witness the power in a lot of forms, a lot of swords, decapitate like they got a war. The bloody gore is the reward, but you running for the spook who sat by the door screaming bloody war.
Murderer, hurting you, serving your bullets and murking your hurdlers, murderers, leaving body parts in your furniture. Eliminate this your fate. I'ma break you like a dinner plate, obliterate with the case, shooting face on the interstate. Underlay, never gonna put my gun away, run away when I pull out the thunder cake. You be done and they fuck the way you get hit. Stupid little bitch. Hurricane is a storm, you niggas, you better